Hi, chào mọi người trở lại với kênh Cuộc sống Mỹ Hạnh Hồ. Thì hôm nay Hạnh và ông xã thì nói chung là ông xã hôm nay chỉ cho Hạnh cái cách để download những cái phần mềm vào cái máy tính đó, mọi người. Thì bây giờ mình chuẩn bị với Hạnh với ông xã chung để coi mình cái cách làm sao download cái mới của 2021 nha mọi người. Thank you.
So before we did the unboxing video for the Apple iMac, and if you haven't seen that video, you can go back through this channel and you can take a look at that real quick. Obviously, we're just amateur video people, so you're not going to see some big professional production. We're just normal average folks just like you, and this is how we record the videos, is how you would normally bring something like this home. So we opened it up, showed you what was in the box, got it all set up on the table, which was really easy, and then we said we'd get back to you as soon as we got it all set up and kind of describe what we went through on that. So that's what we're here for today, is to describe how we got it all set up. So this is it right here. This is the Apple iMac. It was actually really easy to set up. If you're familiar with other Apple products such as an iPad or the iPhones and stuff like that, this was very similar to setting up an iPad. I mean, all you really did was just plug it in and turn it on, and it would prompt you step by step of what to do. It gave you a few little things here and there of what to do, but all in all, it was a very easy setup to do. The most difficult part of the setup was when we were downloading and installing the Microsoft Office 360 on this, because there was really no kind of direction on that. Obviously I knew to just open Safari and go to the website that you're supposed to download it in, enter the product key, and just kind of go through it. We went through it twice because I really didn't understand what was going on. And the reason why is the one thing that is different about the Apple iMac that you don't necessarily see on like an iPad or an iPhone is where all the apps are at. And I really had no idea, because all we can really see is just this, they call this the dock, okay? And so all we really knew was what was down here at the dock. So as soon as we got done downloading the Microsoft Office stuff, I was like, okay, well, like, where is it? Like, what do I do? How do I get to it? So one thing that wasn't really explained, but we ended up figuring out on our own, is this icon right here. This is called a Finder, and when you click on this and open it up, it gives you this screen here, and you would click on Applications, and then here is where all of your apps are at. Okay, so everything that you have on here is here. So when we downloaded all the Microsoft Office stuff, it was here. We just didn't know at first because we didn't know about this Finder thing. It wasn't really until the iMac had gone through a couple little update cycles, and then all of a sudden it prompted us with these things of, and these little prompts come up here in this corner over here every now and then, that say, would you like to take a tour? And it's like, okay, sure. So then you take a tour. Well, then it explains to you about the Finder. But that didn't help us when we were trying to figure it out on our own to begin with. So we did end up figuring that out on our own. It just took a while. And so that might be one hang up that you would run into. The other thing that you might notice, obviously it's a little bit different than a Windows machine in the sense that your expand, minimize, and close out is over here. They're color coded. And another thing is like when you fully expand something like this and it takes up the whole screen, then you kind of notice that it goes away. So then you're like, okay, well, where's it at? How do I close this out? What do I do with it? Well, what happens is if you take your cursor, your mouse, and you go all the way up to the top, then it drops down, and then suddenly here it is again. So then you can finally close out of it, get back to your main screen. But Finder, that was the hang up for us. That's where all of your apps were at. Another thing that was a little bit confusing to us in the beginning was as soon as we linked this to Han's Apple ID, suddenly when she's at home and she gets a phone call, it was ringing here on the iMac, and we're like, hey, wait a minute. Same thing with text messages. It's the text messages were coming through here on the iMac, and we're like, well, we don't necessarily want that. Like we just want that stuff to go to her phone. We don't necessarily want it to come here, and it just kind of automatically comes to this. Well, it was easy enough to shut off the phone calls because we were able to go into the settings on her iPhone, which we were kind of already familiar with that before, because I had a similar problem with my iPhone. When we added an iPad, suddenly my messages and phone calls were going to the iPad as well, and I'm like, I don't necessarily want that to happen. It does kind of stink that happens automatically. Like, you would think that it would be a prompt to say, hey, do you want this to happen? And then you could select yes or no. But for some reason, Apple makes it so that automatically happens as soon as you sign in with your Apple ID. And I think that's kind of a negative. I don't necessarily like that very much. So we were able to shut off the phone calls through her phone, but we couldn't find any settings on the phone to be able to shut off the messages and figure out how to get those text messages, or in this case, the iMessages, I should say, to stop coming to the computer. Well, I had to basically do an internet search on that to try to find out what that was all about. It was fairly easy. The first couple selections, you've got somebody there that gives you all the instructions on how to do that step by step. And then we were able to shut off those messages. So now the text messages don't come to the computer, and neither do the phone calls, and that's basically what we wanted to begin with. So, yeah, it would. Leave a comment down below, because I have a sneaky suspicion that we're not the only ones that feel that way. If you've ever had a iPad, iPhone combo under the same Apple ID, what do you think? Do you prefer it to just automatically do that in the beginning, or are you kind of like us and you would prefer to that not be automatic and be an option that you could select later if you wanted it to do that? So that was a little bit annoying in the beginning, but we got that taken care of, and it's all done now. So obviously there's a few differences between this and a Windows machine. As you know, on a Windows machine, you've got like all of your icons and stuff that are on the main screen, and then your dock, if you will, consists of different things down here, and you've got your sort of access to the computer and all that through here, and some other things. All of this on the iMac, as you can tell, it's different because you still have a dock here, but these are apps that you can quickly access. And then up here, you've got other access to your computer through the little Apple icon, and then there's some other things here that you can go through. Again, some of this is just being basically familiar with how a computer works, and you can kind of understand a lot of this stuff. Other things you go through, again, it's probably helpful to go ahead and go through the little tutorial that they give you. It goes through several steps, so you can stop it or you can continue on, so you can learn as little or as much as you want about it. That was kind of helpful. So there's a lot of little functions on this that you can do. So it does seem to be a very useful setup, and it will be very interesting to see in the coming days, weeks, and months how we feel about using an Apple machine compared to a Windows machine, because obviously we're not we're not throwing this one away. We're still using it. It's still functional for a lot of the things that we want to do. But Han's going to transition over to this, at which point, I will do everything I can to learn this machine, and then help her figure a lot of things out as we go as well. The keyboard and the mouse, just as we mentioned in the unboxing video, they call it a magic keyboard, a magic mouse, is because it is completely wireless. It's very small, thin, and wireless. It's got a little charge port here, so the cable that came with the computer, you plug it into the back, and then you plug it in here, and you can charge your keyboard when it needs it. I did plug that in at one point and just let it sit for a while. Have not plugged the mouse in yet. It does have a charge port there. So I'm not sure how long these last, but you can look and see how many days it's been since I think it's been 4 or 5 days since we did the unboxing video. And so I think it's been about 4 or 5 days, we've been using this and we have not needed to charge the mouse yet. So I'm sure at some point it's going to prompt me for that. But so far we haven't needed to. So that is pretty impressive. So this is it. This is what we're using. And we're going to continue to, excuse me, sort of play around with it, get things figured out. We're also going to see like how it interacts when you physically make a connection of an iPad or an iPhone to it. I mean, I know a lot of things is cloud sharing, but you know, like if I take my iPhone or iPad that's connected through my Apple ID and we plug it into this computer, you know, that's signed in on her Apple ID, like how does that work? Are you still able to access some of the things since there's a physical connection, or, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that we'll do. We did take a little test video at one point on our DJI Pocket 2, and we took the SD card and popped it in this adapter, stuck it in the back just to see what that transition would be like. And we were able to do that. And I gotta tell you that the screen is just like, one thing that's the difference between this screen and what we have here, I mean, it's like night and day. This screen is just absolutely phenomenal. It's the resolution is great, the detail. From if you even have it small or blown up full screen, you really can't tell a difference in the quality. It is just so crystal clear. So that's one thing that was really impressive about that. And I think it's going to help when it comes to the editing of videos and stuff like that as well. So anyways, that's what we got. We really didn't go into a whole lot of detail on that, but certainly if you have any like specific questions for us or whatever, and if we can answer them, leave those down in the comments, and we'll shoot a reply back to you and see, hopefully we can help you out. You know, if not, maybe we can lead you in the right direction. But in the meantime, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Han's channel. She's got some great content, and we'd love to have you on board as a subscriber. And yeah, that's all we got for you. So we're gonna flip the camera back around and let Han go ahead and sign out.
Vậy là thì mình làm cái video này cũng một chút chia sẻ nho nhỏ tới mọi người cho nó vui rồi. Thôi cảm ơn mọi người nhiều nha. Bye.